Okay, so this is video number 13 in the Red Flags of a Narcissist series. Video 13 is red flag number 13, which is behavior that never changes. This is probably, I'm sure victims' biggest issue with a narcissist is their behavior never changes. If it does change, it only changes for a short period. So maybe a few weeks. I will say, however, that some people say, well, no, you're wrong. We've been together for 10 years. I've caught him cheating on me only 3 times. Only 3 times, right? But I would say to that you've only caught him 3 times, that he is constantly getting better at what he's doing. And deceit like that, lies like that, they're like rats. So for every one that you see, there's 50 that you don't. So you caught him cheating 3 times, which probably, multiply that by 10. That's probably what's real, at least that's probably what's really going on there. So, they really don't ever change. Narcissists don't change. They just get better at hiding their behavior. And victims, why do they stay? They stay because most people tend to think that they are in a relationship with another normal human being, right? Like, why wouldn't we think that? They really don't know probably much about personality disorders, if anything, because it's not common knowledge. And they probably don't know the clinical definition of a narcissist. They're probably like the rest of society who thinks that a narcissist is just somebody who's just arrogant. Well, there's a lot more than just arrogance that goes with narcissism, right? It's that high degree of selfishness. It's that blinding level of entitlement. It's a lack of empathy. It's a lack of remorse. It's doing everything to feed their ego. That is the perfect storm for a person who's highly unpredictable and who truly doesn't care about what their actions do. So kind of like the motto, what is that cliche? It's better to ask for forgiveness than it is to ask for permission. That's kind of the motto of a narcissist. So they're just going to go out and do whatever they want to do and then just beg for your forgiveness and throw a bunch of fluff at you and say that they'll change and they'll get into rehab and they'll throw out their porn and they'll have to figure out some way to keep all these these women away from them, because I guess women just can't help but throw themselves at them. But so victims tend to buy into this, and because we all, a lot of us think that most people deserve a second or a third chance, and that there are sometimes situations in life that that can lead a person down a path to bad behavior. And narcissists know this, and they rely on that. There's a video I did that's called I think it's like the 6 master manipulations of a narcissist. And I highly recommend that you watch that video, because it goes over all of these different manipulation techniques that they use to keep you sucked in. The main difference too, how you can tell if you're really in a relationship with a narcissist, is normal people have behavior that changes. Narcissists don't. So if you've been with a person for 10 years and you're continually catching them cheating, that's not normal. If they're continually lying, like small lies, medium-sized lies, big lies, that's not normal. If their behavior is getting worse, if you find yourself minimizing what's going on, or maybe not telling people like your best friend or people that are close to you about what's really going on because you're so embarrassed, because on some level that this is absolutely ridiculous, but you don't want to leave your relationship for whatever reason. And I get it. It's hard to walk away. But if you're minimizing their bad behavior, then there's a problem. Because normal people don't have a pattern of outrageous behavior like that. Con artists and highly manipulative people have a pattern of really outrageous behavior like that. So I guess, what is outrageous behavior, right? So we know it's cheating. It's anything that's really reckless. So it's gambling addictions. Addictions are really common with narcissists, and they tend to always have, I shouldn't say always, they tend to have more than one. Gambling addictions are not uncommon. Poor financial management in other ways, blowing your savings on something, getting the whole family into financial trouble because they wanted to take their girlfriend on a whirlwind European vacation. And then they come back begging your forgiveness, and now, your kid's college fund is gone. That kind of stuff, that's outrageous behavior. Cheating with more than once, outrageous behavior. the compulsive lying. You really, if there's no trust in a relationship, then there is no relationship. You know, at the end of the day, I don't really know what that is. I don't know because that's just not a relationship, and it's not love. So it's a very unhealthy dynamic that people have. So there's 3 terms that I want you to know about red flag number 13. So first term is hoovering, second term is dosing, and the third term is managing down of expectations. So hoovering happens, and I did a video on this as well. So after this narcissist has this behavior that doesn't change, right? They had this, you know, this third affair and this really outrageous behavior. The victim's very upset. She kicks him out. Then within that first year of the breakup, the narcissist will hoover, and this isn't a term that's named after the Hoover vacuum, to suck a victim back into an abusive, manipulative relationship. They will come in, and there's 12 common hoovers. I check out my video; it goes over the common ones, and so you can prepare yourself for them, because it will happen. So they're coming back with apologies and whatever, and then they're just trying to reopen communication. Once you open that door to communication, they know they have you. They are that good. It's sort of like a con artist. Like in Europe, there's a common saying there, once a thief, because the thieves there are so good at what they do, once they have their eye on your stuff, just consider it gone. Like there's nothing, they are so good at what they do that you can't outthink them. You can't even guess. They're so clever, like you can't stay ahead of them, because they're just that good. So the narcissists are the same way. They know as soon as you crack that door open for communication that they're in. And then the dosing starts. And dosing is a lot like love bombing, except it's more like love bombing light. And in my opinion, love bombing really only happens at that initial, like the technical term for a narcissistic relationship, there's 3 stages. There's idealize, devalue, discard. I don't like the idealize. I don't like that word because I don't think it's like that. Because it's a manipulation. It's not like they really idealize a person. I don't think that they believe for a second that this person is the perfect person. I think it's all a con. So for me, I call it luring. So that initial luring stage, it's the love bombing. It's the constant communication. It's the constant compliments. It's that wanting to spend every waking moment together, and they just like suck you in. But after you're already in this relationship, the love bombing, it stops once it's served its purpose. But if they're coming back into your life, they do dosing. So like love bombing would be like, let's say like a gallon of, sticky, sweet love, good juju, right? Like they're just dousing you with just this amazingness. The dosing is more like pouring it into like a spoon, like a little like medicine, right? And they just give you that little spoonful. It's just that bare minimum in order to give you hope and to let you to have them stay in your life. So it's just it's like dosing of love bombing. That's what it is. And then managing down of expectations. So every time there's this bad behavior that surfaces, and there's that breakup, and then the narcissist comes back, and then this relationship, this toxic spiral keeps going. Every time the victim goes around with that, their expectations of the relationship and of their partner become less and less. So for example, if they catch their partner cheating, the first time it happens, you're devastated, right? You're outraged. You can't eat. You can't sleep. You can't stop crying. You can't function. You're not showering. Like you're not handling it well. Like your world, as you know it, has really come to an end. And then you heal and you move on. And they probably promise therapy, which they probably never go to. If they go to it, maybe they go to 3 sessions. And it seems like maybe their behavior has changed because you don't catch them cheating. And then maybe 6 months later, things start getting squirrely again, right? Like they're hiding their phone, they're just kind of being squirrely. And then you find out for sure, oh my God, they have been cheating. And this time this woman's pregnant. And so now this time the victim is, again, she's really upset. She's angry. it's not as bad as it was that first time, right? It's not like a huge shocker. And so then they go around this, and then if it happens again, right? And this time he runs off with this woman. Like in my case, I was the other woman. I had no intentions of being the other woman. I was being lied to by him. He told me that, he was getting a divorce and things were done. He, oh my God, he upped, and I had told him, that I wouldn't date a married man. And if his marriage had really run its course, that he needed to move out of the house and he needed to file paperwork. He did that the next day. And things were really hot and heavy with us. We moved in together within that first month. During that first month, he quit his job that he'd been at for several years. He cashed out his retirement because he was going through a divorce. He was going to use part of that to pay off his ex. He had a big Mastiff dog that he ended up giving away because we were moving to Michigan and there was no room for the dog. And I'm all about having a forever home for an animal, but this Mastiff, he hadn't trained it. The dog weighed more than me. It was absolutely out of control, and he was a puppy. He was absolutely adorable, but Steve was not a good dog owner, and so I couldn't walk this dog. I couldn't train him. He was too big. So, we had to give him away. So he gave away his dog, and then he upped and moved to Michigan, which was a 26-hour drive away with me. After all of that, then he ended up going back to his wife, basically, in my opinion, because he couldn't get a decent job out here. And she took him back. So if you're listening to that story, you're probably thinking, what in the hell, right? But if you know their history, that this isn't the first time this has happened, that he'd upped and left her. This was the third time this had happened to her. And he also had a history of addiction. He had gambling addiction. They'd been in bankruptcy. She had been through an awful lot with him. So the good times, and this is where I got this from. She was the one that told me this. She said, the good times with him were really good, but the bad times were really, really bad. And I would agree completely. That's so well said and well put, because that's exactly what it is. And that's why victims tend to stay, because the good times are so good and the bad times are so bad that they think, well, oh, my phone's doing things. They think that if they can just iron out whatever's causing those bad times, then they can have those good times again. But the reality is, the real person they're dealing with is the bad times, right? The real person's responsible for those bad times. The good times is just the mask that they're showing to the world. And as they get older, that mask is going to slip more and more, because they're just going to quit caring more and more. So that is behavior that never changes, red flag number 13. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, frustrations, ideas for videos, you just want to say hi, you have stories of your own that you'd like to share, that you'd like for me to share, let me know. I'd be more than happy to do that. I think it's fantastic for people to get a more well-rounded idea of what narcissism and what narcissists are actually like. So let me know. My website I'll put it down here. It's narcissistsupport.com, or you can find me on Facebook. My Facebook group is Narcissist Support as well. Okay, thanks. I'll see you soon.